My husband waited until our 25th wedding anniversary party to destroy our marriage. In front of all our friends and family, he didn't give me a gift. He gave me divorce papers. 25 years is long enough, he announced. I want someone young now. You have until tomorrow to get out of the condo. He seemed to forget that my parents were the ones who gifted me that condo in the first place. His mother, Celeste, just stood by and smiled. But I walked to the microphone, ready to say something that would leave them all speechless. It all started a few weeks earlier. I woke up at 3 a.m. to the sound of whispers. My husband, Darren, was on the phone with his mother again. His voice was low, but I could hear the excitement in it. I lay perfectly still in the dark, trying to catch what they were saying. We have to do this right, Darren insisted. She can't suspect a thing. Of course not, son, his mother replied. My body went tense. What were they plotting right before our big anniversary? The floorboards creaked as Darren came back into the room. I squeezed my eyes shut, pretending to be fast asleep. He slid into bed, but I could feel how restless he was, his body stiff beside me. The next morning, the strangeness continued. Darren was being way too affectionate. Naomi, my love, he said, kissing my cheek. He was wearing expensive cologne. Let's pick the restaurant for our anniversary today. I want it to be perfect. Perfect. I raised an eyebrow. In 25 years, Darren had never planned a family celebration. That was always my job, and he usually just found things to complain about. Fine, I said, overseeing him as he rushed off to work. He'd left his phone on the nightstand. The screen lit up and I couldn't stop myself from looking. It was a calendar reminder. Call us at 11 a.m. Later, while I was watering the plants, I casually asked, "Who is in your contacts?" Darren spun around. I saw a flash of panic in his eyes before he quickly covered it up. "Oh, that's Sanchez, a colleague from Seattle. Just a work thing." It was a lie. I knew my husband. Whenever he lied, his left eye twitched, just like it was doing right now. "I see," I said with a smile, but my chest felt tight. After he left, I looked out the window at the gray sky. We'd been together for 25 years, a quarter of a century. We met in college, me a sharp accounting student and him a rising star in management. We married for love and dreamed of having a big family, but children never came. The doctor said nothing was wrong, but it just never happened. Darren took it hard, and his mother, Celeste, made it worse with her passive-aggressive comments about grandchildren. Over time, we learned to live with it, but a distance had grown between us. A knock on the door pulled me from my thoughts. It was my mother-in-law, Celeste, wearing her usual cold smile. "Naomi, dear," she said, walking right into the condo without an invitation. "How are you? Getting ready for the party?" For 25 years, she had never once called me her daughter. "Slowly but surely," I answered, leading her into the living room. "Darren wants to celebrate at a restaurant this year." "Good," Celeste said brightly. "A big party with guests shows how important the day is." She glanced around the room and I knew that look. It was her way of reminding me, without saying a word, that her suburban mansion was bigger and better. "By the way, dear," she said, sinking into an armchair, "I was thinking, Darren isn't young anymore, and since we don't have grandchildren, don't you think it's time to write a will? For my nephews, of course. They're good boys. If we don't, the government will take everything." A chill went down my spine. "What are you talking about, Celeste? We don't have children." She waved her hand dismissively. "It's just for my nephews." Then, as if it were an afterthought, she asked, "And where do you keep the papers for the condo?" That was it. I finally understood. "They're in the safe," I replied, my voice cold. "Why do you ask?" "Oh, just in case," she said. "You never know. It's good to know where things are." When she finally left, I sat in silence, piecing it all together. The late-night call, Darren's sudden affection, and Celeste's questions about the condo. A dark picture was forming, and I didn't like it one bit. I went to Darren's computer. He'd always used our meeting date as his password, but it didn't work. My heart pounded. He'd never kept secrets from me. I tried his birthday. Nothing. His mother's birthday. Nothing. Then I tried our wedding date in reverse. It worked. His browser history made my stomach turn. Asterisk how to divorce with shared assets. Spousal rights in property division. Legal tricks to keep the condo. Asterisk he had been searching for all of this for weeks. Just then my phone rang. It was my friend, Candace. "Naomi, you won't believe what I just saw," she said. "I saw Darren at a jewelry store with a young woman. She was clinging to him and they were looking at rings." "What did she look like?" I asked softly. "About 30, blonde, very polished. Looked expensive." "Are you okay, Naomi?" "Yes," I lied. "Everything is fine." But nothing was satisfactory. That evening, Darren came home with a bouquet of roses. "For my one and only true love," he said, kissing me. The irony was suffocating. I looked him straight in the eye. "We need to talk about our future," I said. He tensed up. "Talk about what?" he asked, turning on the TV. "Everything's fine. The anniversary is just a week away. Let's not spoil the mood." We'll talk after the party. After the party, I knew then that he was planning something big for the party itself. I felt an icy coldness spread through me. After 25 years, I knew my husband was planning something and he was doing it calmly and coldly. But what Darren didn't know was that I had a secret of my own, an ace up my sleeve that could ruin all his plans. And I wasn't going to show my hand just yet. The next morning, the feeling of dread remained, a heavy weight in my stomach. Darren had left early for a meeting, but I knew exactly who he was meeting. He'd forgotten his cell phone again, leaving it face down on the kitchen counter. I had no intention of answering it, but at 11 a.m. the home phone rang and the answering machine picked up. It was Celeste. "Dee, it's Mom," she said. "I spoke to Mr. Hayes. Everything can be arranged. The important thing is that she doesn't suspect anything until the very last moment. Call me." The so-called colleague from Seattle. It all clicked into place. It felt like the floor had dropped out from under me. 25 years with a man who was planning my betrayal like it was just another day at the office. I walked over to his phone. It needed a 6-digit code. I tried our meeting date, September 1st, 1999. No. I tried his mother's birthday. Nothing. Then I thought of the blonde from the jewelry store. On a gut feeling, I typed in March 8th, International Women's Day. It worked. It was his lover's birthday. The text confirmed everything. "Sierra, my love," Darren had written. Asterisk, a little more patience. "After the anniversary, the condo will be ours." Asterisk. "Dee, you said we'd be living together by New Year's," she replied. "I'm tired of hiding. My love. Everything is going according to plan," he assured her. Asterisk, "Mom has it handled. Naomi suspects nothing. Hayes says if we play this right, she'll only get half. I'll keep the condo." Asterisk. I sank into a chair, my hands shaking. They were carving up my life like I was property. Darren, his mother, the lawyer Hayes, and his mistress Sierra. They were all in on it and I was their prey. I kept scrolling and found a message from Darren to his mother. "Hey Mom, are you sure the condo is in both our names?" "Son, I saw the papers when you bought it," Celeste wrote back. Asterisk, "but Hayes says there are ways. She needs to sign the waiver." Asterisk. "She will sign," Darren replied. "After what I'm going to do to her at the party, she won't have a choice." What were they planning to do? Humiliate me in front of everyone? Accuse me of something terrible? I quickly took pictures of all the messages and put Darren's phone right back where I found it. I needed a plan. I needed help. I called Aisha Cole, my best friend from college who was now a top family lawyer. "Aisha," she said, answering the phone. "It's been too long. How are you? Can we meet today?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. "I need to talk." Aisha's office was downtown. She greeted me with a hug but saw the tension on my face immediately. "Sit down," she said. "Tell me everything." I took a deep breath. "Let's say a friend of mine is having trouble with her husband." Aisha looked at me intently. "Are you sure this is a hypothetical friend, Naomi?" I broke down and told her everything. The late night calls, the text messages, Sierra, her mother-in-law's scheming. Aisha listened, only interrupting to ask a few questions. "Okay," she said finally. "This is serious, but you're not helpless. The good news is you found out in time. Now tell me about the condo." "We put both our names on the title back in 2005, I explained. "And you have a job?" "Yes. I'm the controller at Alliance Development Group. I've been there for 15 years. Aisha jotted down notes. "Naomi, they can't force you to give up your share. But it's clear they're planning something nasty. They want to break you down emotionally so you'll just give in. You need to be ready." "How?" "Gather evidence," she instructed. "Photos of the messages, record conversations if you can, and open a bank account in only your name and move some money into it. Most importantly, do not let them know you're onto them." For the first time in days, I felt a flicker of hope. I had a plan. I had support. "Thanks, Aisha," I said. "How much do I owe you?" She smiled. "Nothing, girl. Friends don't charge. Just keep me updated. And remember, you are not alone." I went home feeling determined, but what I found there showed me the war had already begun. Darren was looking at himself in the mirror. "You look a little run down," he said without even looking at me. "You've let yourself go. Turning 50 isn't the end of the world, but you need to take care of yourself. Go to the gym or something." I saw Candace's daughter today. She's 30 and looks so polished. He was comparing me to younger women, laying the groundwork for his betrayal. Then he announced, "I have a meeting all day tomorrow." Another date with Sierra. That night, while he was in the shower, I checked our joint bank account. In the last month, he had withdrawn $30,000. Gifts for Sierra, payments to his lawyer. He was using our money to plan my ruin. A bitter laugh escaped my lips. He thought he had me cornered, but he had no idea about my ace up my sleeve. A week ago, a letter had arrived from a notary in Germany. My Aunt Josephine, my father's older sister, had passed away. She had no husband or children and had left her entire estate to me, her only niece. This included a condo in Munich worth over $800,000, a bank account with nearly $600,000, and a luxury investment condo in Miami Beach. In total, it was worth over $3 million. I hadn't told anyone yet. I was going to surprise Darren on our anniversary. But now, this inheritance was my salvation. I opened my laptop. Darren thought he held all the cards, but the game was about to begin. On Monday morning, I woke up with a clear head and a solid plan. My first stop wasn't to a new lawyer, but to an old one, Mr. Perry, the real estate attorney who had handled our condo purchase years ago. Naomi Sterling, it's been years. He greeted me with a warm smile. How is Darren? Mr. Perry, I need your help, I said, getting straight to the point. And it has to be completely confidential. His expression turned serious. I'm listening. Do you remember our condo on M Street? You handled the title in 2005. I need to know where the money came from to buy it. Mr. Perry pulled out an old, dusty file. Here it is, he said after a moment. It was an unusual case. The money came directly from your parents' bank account, and the deed of gift lists you as the sole recipient. Darren's name was added a couple of months later as your husband. A wave of relief washed over me. So, legally, it's a premarital asset. Legally, yes, he confirmed. In a divorce, that makes all the difference. He could only claim a share if he proved he invested in major renovation. I smiled faintly. Darren had never spent a single penny on the condo. Can you give me a document confirming that? I asked. Of course. Come back tomorrow afternoon. Leaving his office, I felt strong for the first time in weeks. But the real game changer was waiting for me at home. A thick envelope from Germany had arrived. The final papers for Aunt Josephine's inheritance. A condo in Munich, another in Miami Beach, and over $1 million in cash. I was a wealthy, independent woman, but Darren couldn't know. Not yet. My phone rang. It was him, his voice buzzing with false cheer. Naomi, my love, I was thinking we should go all out for the anniversary. I already reserved the ballroom at the Watergate Hotel for 100 people. 100 people to witness my public humiliation. Isn't that expensive, Darren? Don't worry about it, he scoffed. The money is there. The important thing is making an impression. A cynical lie. Fine, I said calmly. Whatever you want. Later that afternoon, Celeste showed up with a gift. She handed me an envelope with a sugary smile. This is for you, dear. A free consultation with an excellent family lawyer. Just in case. I opened it. It was a business card for Hayes and Associates, the very lawyer who was helping them plan my betrayal. The audacity was breathtaking. Thank you, I said, my voice dry. Very thoughtful. I worry about you, daughter, she said. Daughter. The first time in 25 years, right before she planned to stab me in the back. That night, Darren came home late, smelling of expensive perfume. Everything is ready, he announced. It's going to be unforgettable. He was right. It would be unforgettable, just not in the way he imagined. I couldn't sleep. Around 2 a.m. I heard him whispering on the phone in the hallway. I pressed my ear to the door. Mom, it's all perfect, he was saying. The restaurant is booked. Guests are confirmed. After my toast, it's all over. Are you sure she doesn't suspect anything? Celeste asked. How could she? She's naive. She's always trusted me. And what if she won't sign the papers? She will, he said confidently. After what I say in front of everyone, she'll have no choice. She'll go straight home and Hayes will be there waiting with the papers. Quick and clean. Then he dropped another bomb. And Sierra is coming to the anniversary. I'm introducing her as my new assistant. My rival was going to be there watching my downfall. That's what they thought. The next day, I went to the bank and opened a personal account, transferring half of our joint savings into it. If he wanted to keep spending on his mistress, he could do it with his half. Then I picked up the document from Mr. Perry, which proved the condo was mine. Back at work, I went to see my boss. Mr. Budrow, I said, I just wanted to let you know that I'm about to enter a difficult personal phase. A divorce. He frowned. Seriously, I thought you two were a solid couple. That's why I'm telling you, I said. Whatever happens, I hope I can count on your support. My work won't be affected. Naomi, he said firmly, you are the best controller we've had in 15 years. Your job is safe. That night, I laid out all my documents. The condo's proof of ownership, the inheritance papers, and my new bank statement. The Miami Beach condo was empty and waiting. I had financial independence. Darren thought he was about to deliver the final blow, but he was the one about to be blindsided. Tomorrow was the anniversary. Tomorrow the truth would come out. The next morning, I went to the German consulate to finalize the inheritance. The consul, a kind older man, reviewed the papers. Everything is in order, Mrs. Sterling, he said. The bank accounts will be unlocked in 1 week. As for the Miami Beach condo, ownership passes to you immediately. I now owned 3 properties and had access to over $1 million. Most importantly, I had my freedom. That afternoon, I went to the Watergate Hotel to check on the party arrangements. And there she was, right by the entrance, a young blonde woman in an expensive coat talking on her phone. "Dee, my love, it's incredible," she was saying in a sickly sweet voice. "The ballroom is divine. I can already imagine hosting our parties in that huge condo you promised." It was Sierra, my husband's mistress. She was just a few feet away, excitedly planning her new life in my home. I stood there watching her. She was pretty, but her eyes were cold and calculating. "I know tomorrow will be hard," she continued, "but you said after your speech she'll understand everything, and I'll be there as your new assistant." How romantic. Publicly humiliating your wife is romantic? I walked closer. "Excuse me," I said. "Do you know where the manager is?" Sierra turned and looked me up and down with disdain. "No idea," she replied coldly, turning back to her phone. "Dee, some lady is asking me questions. Hey, see you tonight." "I love you." Some lady, I thought with a small smile. Tomorrow this lady was going to give her a huge surprise. The restaurant manager confirmed that Mr. Price had paid for everything. The ballroom, a banquet for 100 people and live music. "And how much did that cost?" I asked. $45,000, she said. "Your husband wanted the best of the best. $45,000 to humiliate me in public." I nodded slowly. When I got home, Darren was pacing, a piece of paper in his hand. He quickly hid it when he saw me. "Where were you?" he asked. "At the restaurant," I said. "It's impressive, $45,000 for one night." "Don't worry about it," he scoffed. "The money's there. The important thing is the impression we make." That night, when Darren was locked in his study rehearsing his speech, I stood outside the door and listened. "Dear friends," he murmured, 25 years ago I made a decision that seemed right, but life moves on and sometimes you have to have the courage to admit your mistake. My 25-year marriage was his mistake. I thank Naomi for these years," he continued. "But honesty demands I speak the truth. We are different people with different plans and I have made a decision." The rest was muffled, but the message was crystal clear. The next morning, Darren was in a great mood. "Today is a great day, Naomi," he said, adjusting his tie in the mirror. "Yes, our anniversary." "Not just that," he said with a strange smile. "Tomorrow your life is going to change, and so is mine. Completely." On the drive to the hotel we sat in silence. 25 years ago we rode in silence to the courthouse. But that silence was filled with love and excitement. Tonight it was the silence before a war. "Naomi," he said as we arrived, "no matter what happens today, I want you to know I wish you the best." What a cruel joke. "Thank you, Dee," I replied with a calm smile. "And I wish you receive exactly what you deserve." The ballroom was sparkling. 100 guests, white roses and gold candles. I smiled and accepted congratulations, but inside I was a bundle of nerves. Sierra was in a corner, introduced as Darren's new marketing assistant. My boss, Mr. Budrow, was there, and in the back at a small table sat a serious-looking man in a dark suit. It was Mr. Hayes, the lawyer, ready to have me sign my life away. Finally, the master of ceremonies announced, "May I have your attention? Darren would like to say a few words." A silence fell over the room. Darren stood up, took the microphone and smiled. "Friends, thank you for being here. 25 years is no small thing, and I've realized something very important. People change. What seems right when you're young can turn out to be a mistake." The room grew quiet. People exchanged confused looks. It was starting. "I want to be honest," he continued, his voice growing harder. "For 25 years, I have endured a life with a woman who is not right for me. A gray, boring woman who doesn't know how to be the partner of a successful man." A wave of shocked murmurs rippled through the ballroom. "Darren, are you crazy?" someone yelled. "Quite the opposite," he said calmly. "Our marriage is over. I'm filing for divorce." The room was stunned. His mother, Celeste, just smiled. "Furthermore," he added, looking directly at Sierra, "I want a fair division of assets. Naomi must leave the condo. It's time for a new life with new relationships." That was enough. I slowly stood up and gently took the microphone from my stunned husband. "Thank you, Darren," I said, my voice quiet but clear. The room fell silent again. Everyone was expecting tears. "You know, dear friends," I continued, "Darren is right. Enough of the lies. And I want to speak the truth too." Darren's face clouded over. "This wasn't part of his plan. The truth is, I've known about this whole charade for 3 weeks. I knew about Sierra and about the lawyer Hayes, who's sitting right over there." Mr. Hayes turned pale and tried to slip away, but guests blocked his path. "Your plan fell apart, darling," I said, pulling a folder from my purse. "You see, you made a tiny mistake. Our condo is not a shared asset. It was a gift from my parents in my name before we were married. I have the legal documents to prove it." Darren took a step back, his face ashen. "That can't be. And what's more," I went on, 3 weeks ago I inherited a condo in Munich, another one in Miami Beach, and over $1 million in cash from my late Aunt Josephine." The silence in the room was absolute. "So, Darren, what property division are you talking about? You'll get half of our small cabin and half the value of your car. Everything else is mine. Across the room, Sierra looked like she'd seen a ghost. And now for the fun part, I said with a smile. Do you know how much your successful man spent on this little play to humiliate me? $45,000 of our joint savings. The guests erupted in outrage. But I'm not spiteful, I said. Darren, you're free. Take your wonderful woman and live wherever you want, just not in my condo. Wait, Darren whispered. We can talk about this. There's nothing to talk about. I'm filing for divorce tomorrow. I turned to the guests. I apologize for ruining the evening, but sometimes the truth is more important than appearances. Thank you for coming. I placed the microphone on the table and walked toward the exit, leaving chaos in my wake. As I walked out, a full-blown scandal erupted behind me. Darren, you are a complete scoundrel, a woman yelled. Sierra tried to escape, but a group of furious guests blocked her way. And you homewrecker, have you no shame? Celeste scurried from table to table trying to do damage control, but no one was listening. I paused at the door and looked back. Darren's carefully built house of cards was collapsing around him. He stood in the middle of the ballroom, pale and confused, like an actor who had forgotten his lines. His boss, Mr. Budrow, walked right up to him. Darren Price, I am deeply disappointed in you. After this, we will have to review your position at the company. But Mr. Budrow, you don't understand. Darren stammered. Naomi twisted everything. Twisted it. One of my coworkers interjected. We all heard you 25 years enduring a colorless woman. Aren't you ashamed? In another corner, Sierra, realizing her dream of a luxury condo was gone, grabbed Darren's sleeve. What's going on? You promised me a condo, she shrieked. Shoo, not here, he whispered, looking around nervously as guests started recording on their phones. Why not here? She yelled, growing hysterical. I've been waiting for 3 months. You said we'd live like kings. She turned to the stunned crowd. Do you want to know the truth? This successful man promised me the world. He bought me jewelry with his wife's money, and he took out loans against their shared assets to pay for it all. $20,000 from Chase and another $15,000 from Wells Fargo. The room went silent. I hadn't known about the loans. Celeste rushed toward her son. What is this woman saying? What loans? Mom, now is not the time, he mumbled. Not the time? I mortgaged my house to give you money for the lawyer. How am I going to pay that back? Another blow. His scheme had dragged his own mother into debt. This is all your fault, Celeste shrieked, lunging at Sierra. You drove my son crazy. My fault, Sierra retorted. It was your son who pursued me. He told me his wife was a fool he could easily manipulate. Slowly, the guests began to leave, each one shooting daggers at Darren. After tonight, don't even say you know me, a colleague said on his way out. Half an hour later, the ballroom was nearly empty. Only Darren, Celeste, Sierra, and a few curious waiters remained. So now what? Sierra asked, fixing her messy hair. Do you have any money at all? I spent it all, he complained. On the party, your gifts, and the loans. Sierra laughed bitterly. Are you crazy? And what about me? I left my ex for you. Celeste sat with her face in her hand. I'm left homeless at 70 because of your foolishness. Sierra stood up. You know what? I'm leaving. You two are useless. Don't ever call me again. He paused at the door. Your wife is one badass woman. It's a shame I only met the real her today. With that, she was gone. What if it's not too late? Celeste said softly. What if we go see Naomi and ask for forgiveness? Darren just shook his head. It's too late, Mom. She will never forgive us. Meanwhile, I was in a taxi watching the city lights go by. I had the titles to 3 properties and a bank statement for over $1 million. My life had changed in a single night. 3 months later, I was in court. Darren looked 10 years older, his face worn, his expensive suit replaced by a cheap one. The judge's decision was swift and final. The condo on M Street is the separate premarital property of Mrs. Naomi Sterling and is not subject to division, she declared. Darren panicked. The judge continued, ruling that the mountain cabin and car would be split, but that Darren was solely responsible for the $43,000 in debt he had hidden from me. With the strike of a gavel, my 25-year marriage was over. As I left the courthouse, Darren ran after me. Naomi, wait, forgive me, he pleaded. I was a selfish fool. I looked at him, searching for any sign of sincere remorse. Darren, I said calmly, I don't hold a grudge, but we're different people. You wanted an easy life at others' expense. I fight for what's mine. It's better if we each go our own way. I turned and walked to my new car, an elegant Audi I'd bought with part of my inheritance. Life went on and everyone got what they deserved. A month later, Darren lost his job. The video of the anniversary party had gone viral with the hashtag #SilverAnniversaryTrader. He ended up as a taxi driver, living with his mother in a small rundown apartment she'd bought after selling her mansion to pay her debts. As for Sierra, she landed on her feet. 2 months later, she married a wealthy restaurant owner. Her social media was filled with pictures of her new luxurious life. I moved into my aunt's beautiful light-filled condo in Miami Beach, overlooking the ocean. I quit my accounting job and started a small publishing house, my lifelong dream. One evening, my friend Aisha came to visit. "You look so content," she said. "Do you feel avenged?" "You know," I replied thoughtfully, "I don't feel vengeance. I just feel relief. I simply defended what was mine." A year later, a letter from Darren arrived. He told me I was the best thing that ever happened to him and that he lost me because he was foolish and greedy. He didn't ask for forgiveness. He only asked that I be happy. I filed the letter away without anger or sadness. That night, I stood on my terrace with a cup of coffee. The city glittered below. Music played in the distance, and the air smelled of summer flowers. I was free, independent, and doing what I loved. For the first time in years, I was thrilled.